What's up, people? Back with another reaction, back with some more Duran Duran. But in fact, this is sort of a celebration at first, which is to say, I just got my copy of the Medazzland vinyl, the 25th anniversary vinyl. Very excited about this. I know a couple of you mentioned you had also pre-ordered your copy. Do let me know if you've already received yours. I have to mention, I just got this out. I should have actually done like an unboxing or whatever they call it, but I did just want to just check it real quick. I did notice when I was taking my stuff out that one side of the album during shipping seems to have been smashed and the glue like has come off or whatever, so it's a little bit annoying, but regardless, I'm not going to let it bother me too much. So yeah, it's a gatefold release. You know, in Discogs, they made the point, you know, Discogs is pretty good. Any release that is out there will be listed, you know, if people put it up. But releases that are bootleg or like, you know, unofficial releases, you can't buy or sell them. So they don't let them go to the marketplace. But I did notice there are a few unofficial copies, vinyl copies of Medazzland out there, but this is the first official vinyl release for this, so very excited to have it. But yeah, it came with this massive booklet. Some of these images I think come from the original sort of booklet in the release, which, you know, I have a CD copy, and some of these I do remember seeing, but I don't think they're all in there. And again, there's a bunch of them. This one right here, this sort of blurred out bridge at night, it's one of my favorites. But, you know, again, the whole aesthetic of a lot of the images is this sort of like tainted, kind of vandalized, like, you know, things are in this sort of decrepit, like sordid state versus what they should be officially and sort of within the, like, you know, the proper kind of cookie cutter vibe. So yeah, it has a very warped and distorted sort of feel to it, which again, one of the reasons I was very excited to go through this album to begin with is because Izzy had described it as sort of Duran's version of Depeche Mode's Ultra, meaning both records came out the same year, and Depeche Mode's Ultra is very experimental, and it's sort of edgy and industrial influence and so on. And Izzy was saying that, you know, Duran has, you know, gone down more experimental pathways, and that this album was one of the best examples. And that turned out to not only be very true and on point, but existed or turned out to be true to a degree in ways that I, you know, would not have been able to expect. So yeah, I really, really enjoyed this album. You know, it's hard for me to rank the albums, but I will say this album will be in any conversation for me in terms of the most significant and the ones that I enjoyed the most. I mean, I do love the 81 self-titled, I love Rio, I love All You Need Is Now and Paper Gods. So bottom line, I love a number of their albums a great degree, and I'm still going through some of the others. So yeah, it's hard to rank them. But I will say, this is a very special album for me, and it was sort of like one of the turning points in terms of just continuing to be more and more excited to learn about this band and the rest of their discography. So shout out to Izzy and the others of you who are fond of this album. I did want to also show the pink, the actual records. They're a very bright pink. I will say again, the courier bruised the release up a little bit, which, you know, it's a little unfortunate, but regardless, yeah, bright pink vinyl, you gotta appreciate that. I do believe also, let me see, yeah, it doesn't say it here. Ultimately, I was going to see if I can. Oh, it's in the. That's right. It's in the back of the booklet. They have like a big thank you section with, you know, all the extra people who were involved with the mixing and the whatchamacallit, the live drums on tracks, you know, 1, 2, and 5, brushes 7, 10, and 11, Steve Alexander, and so on. So there's like all the like extra credits are shown here in this big booklet. It does also say Duran Duran are Nick Rhodes, Simon Le Bon, and Warren, which is interesting. It makes me think there's a Depeche Mode album I got where it's one from the 80s. I want to say it's like maybe it's Some Great Reward, I'm not sure, but basically it's a reissue from the mid-2000s, and on the back it says, in 1985 or whatever, Depeche Mode were Dave Gahan, Andy Fletcher, Martin Gore, Alan Wilder. Whereas here it just says Duran Duran are. So, you know, maybe they should have reformulated it like that. Regardless, I do enjoy like all the artwork in here. It really is like an incredible thing. So if you get a copy of this, you know, take your time and look through it. But yeah, we're gonna listen to Electric Barbarella. It was a tune that a number of you really seemed to enjoy when I did the original reaction. So I figured, you know, I wanted to react to at least one tune, even though I've already reacted to it, just because we can celebrate the vinyl. So once again, let's give a shout out to the to the pink vinyl. The middle like spindle hole, I think, needs to be like worked, grooved. Like the groove needs to be worked a little bit, because it was like really hard to take the record off the platter there. But yeah, regardless, this is Duran Duran from the album Medazzland, originally 1997, though this is the first official vinyl version in 2022, and the track is Electric Barbarella. Seems like the record might be recorded a little bit quieter than some other records. I had to turn the gain up a little bit to get it to like the normal level. Like there's this iridescent haze over the track. Knowing what the song is about now, that emotionless and cold as ice line reads differently. Sort of ghostly, high and wispy synth work. Wicked. And with a very consonant like love that. You're like slippery kind of synth line. fembots from Austin Powers. Yeah, basically, I really enjoy that song. It's funny, like, you know, I think it's a nice sort of, like, middle ground for the album's tone overall. It's got some, like, fun groove to it, but it's also a bit wicked, especially in that, like, instrumental interlude where it gets really sort of, like, dissonant, but also, like, contrasted with kind of the more melodic stuff happening below it. But yeah, I really enjoy that tune, and like I said, I think it's sort of like a split the difference in terms of its tone, because there are tracks on this album that are more wicked and kind of like heavy and dark, but there are also tracks that are more floaty and melodic, so it's somewhere in the middle, I would say. But yeah, cool tune. Enjoyed it like more this time around, reacting to it, just because like I had a sense of for like what it is, and also just because I'm excited to get the vinyl, as I'm sure a number of others of you are. Do let me know if you got a copy. Yeah, like I said, I have reacted to the whole album as well as some of the bonus tracks. But yeah, I may let me know if there's, you know, another time that you'd like to hear a different song from the album on the final version. It did sound like a little bit different. I think this sounds like a good recording. You know, I'm around techno vinyl for a long time, so I will say I know people who make records, and they will sometimes say that like the absolute sound quality of a colored vinyl might be like, you know, slightly inferior to the same release on a like regular black vinyl. I don't know if that's, you know, necessarily the case here, but like I said, I have heard from some of my techno friends that if you really want a record to sound like its absolute best, you probably won't put it on color vinyl, so don't know if that's, again, necessarily relevant here. The only thing I would say is that I think it's recorded a little bit quieter than some other records. I did have to turn the gain up another like 20 to 30% beyond the like default sort of area. But yeah, bottom line, love the tune, absolutely love the album. Once again, shout out to Izzy, because it was, like I said, a very like pivotal thing early on, me finding that album and realizing that like, whoa, like, you know, not only has already of what I understand Duran did in the 80s more extensive and more exciting than I ever realized when I was younger, but obviously they were doing something very different in the 90s, so yeah, it was a critical branch point in terms of me getting more and more into Duran. You know, again, the album will always be in any conversation for my favorite albums by Duran, even if it's like even hard to have that conversation with yourself. But yeah, big ups to the band at that time, and just more broadly as well. Yeah, but thanks for watching. Let me know if there's another song on the album, the vinyl version, you'd like to hear another reaction to, a sort of second look reaction. But other than that, I will see you next time. Peace.